Hello and a very warm welcome to World This Week by Latest Laws. This is our weekly program, so subscribe and press the bell icon to get notified. My name is Monica Rahar and let's get started by having a look at Supreme Court this week. The Apex Court on Friday has asked the states and union territories to implement One Nation, One Ration Card scheme so as to enable migrant workers to get ration at the place of their work in other states as well, where the ration cards are not registered. The top court also took strong note of the delay in development of software, which is meant to register workers of unorganized sector in order to create a national database. The top court also posted certain questions to the centre in order to know as to how the benefit of free food grains would reach these migrant labourers having no ration card under the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana by November this year. The court has refused to entertain a petition filed by the former Mumbai Police Commissioner Parambir Singh to shift all cases against him either to the CBI or to any other state. The court, while doing so, questioned his lack of faith in the very force he served for 30 long years. Singh alleged that the state police was prejudiced against him after he claimed that the former Maharashtra Home Minister Anil Deshmukh was involved in a corruption case. The CBI is currently probing the corruption charges levelled against Deshmukh in a letter by Singh to CM Uddhav Thackeray written this March. The court on Friday has also ordered the postponement of AIIMS INI CET exam 2021 by at least 1 month. The court ordered deferment of this exam for admission to postgraduate medical courses by at least 1 month, keeping in view the COVID crisis prevailing at this moment in the country. The court said that it was of the opinion that June 16 date was arbitrary. Justice Indira Banerjee further stated in I quote, "We direct the exam to be postponed by 1 month. Needless to say that the exam be held any time after the expiry of this period of 1 month." Unquote. The central government stated before the top court that it has deposited a sum of rupees 10 crore with the Supreme Court itself, which was paid to it by the Republic of Italy as compensation to the families of the 2 Kerala fishermen who were shot dead in 2012 by 2 Italian Marines. This compensation was awarded in lieu of closure of criminal cases against these two in India. Justice Indira Banerjee and Justice M.R. Shah, after taking note of the submissions made by Solicitor General Tushar Mehta, to the effect that the compensation of rupees 10 crore has been deposited with the court for distribution to the victims, has reserved the order for 15th June. An appeal has been filed in the Supreme Court challenging the Delhi High Court's 31st May order, which refused to stop the construction of Central Vista redevelopment project during the COVID-19 crisis. The High Court in this order stated that the project cannot be stopped because it was of national importance and it must be completed by November 30 this year. The petitioners were also penalized with an amount of rupees 1 lakh as fine for filing a motivated petition which lacked bona fides, and they were told to deposit the amount with the Delhi Legal Services Authority within a period of 1 month. The petitioners have also challenged this fine. Now let's proceed to the next segment of our news analysis and have a look at the Delhi High Court this week. A bench of the Delhi High Court consisting of Justice Amit Bansal has, in the case of Brigadier Neel Kamal Sharma versus Union of India and others, held that the scope of interference under Article 226 of the Constitution with the grading given in the confidential reports of an officer in Army Service Corps of the Indian Army, it is very limited. The High Court has refused to stay the release of a movie titled Nyay the Justice, which is based on the life story of late actor Sushant Singh Rajput, who died by suicide last year in June. The court has dismissed a petition by the late actor's father, who claimed that the movie has been shot without the family's consent and it is launched in an orchestrated manner by the confidants of the persons who are accused of a role in the suicide. Amrinder Dhari Singh, who is an MP of the Rashtriya Janata Dal Party and who was recently arrested by the Enforcement Directorate, has moved the High Court challenging the 10 days ED remand which was granted by a special court of Delhi. He has moved a petition under Section 482 and 483 of the CRPC seeking setting aside of the remand order passed on June 3, 2021. Now let's proceed to the next segment of our news analysis and have a look at the Bombay High Court this week. On Tuesday, the High Court of Bombay cancelled the caste certificate issued to Navneet Kaur Rana, who is a member of Parliament from the Amravati constituency of Maharashtra, stating that it was obtained fraudulently using fabricated documents. Navneet Kaur Rana has been fined with an amount of Rs 2 lakh by the division bench for submitting a fake caste certificate. The court has also directed Rana to surrender the caste certificate, which was validated by an order dated November 3, 2017 within a period of 6 weeks. On Wednesday, the High Court stated that the centre's approach against coronavirus, which is the society's biggest enemy at present, should be like a surgical strike instead of standing at the borders waiting for the virus to come out. A division bench of Chief Justice Dipankar Datta and Justice G.S. Kulkarni stated that the union government's new near-to-home vaccination program was like waiting for the virus carrier to come to the centre. Now the next segment that we have is of Madras High Court. Carnatic vocalist T.M. Krishna has moved the High Court challenging the centre's new digital media rules, namely the Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Ethic Code Rules of 2021, for being unconstitutional and in violation of the IT Act of 2000. A 3-judge bench of the High Court has given the centre a time period of 3 weeks to respond to the plea and adjourned the matter for 4 weeks. Now let's proceed with the miscellaneous segment of our news analysis. Former IAS officer Anup Chandra Pandey has been appointed as the new Election Commissioner of India by the Indian President. Earlier this week, N.V. Ramana, the Chief Justice of India, granted his approval to the proposal put forth by the Supreme Court Bar Association seeking consideration of Supreme Court lawyers for elevation to the post of High Court judges. Now, as a result of this development, the Telangana High Court will witness an increase in the number of judges by around 75% of its sanctioned strength. The High Court is all set to have 42 judges after an increase of 18 judges from the total sanctioned strength of 24. The Bar Council of Delhi has made a written representation to the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal and the Delhi High Court Chief Justice D.N. Patel seeking initiation of COVID-19 vaccination drive in district court complexes. In a letter written to the Chief Minister, the Bar Council has requested the governments to provide the infrastructure and sufficient number of vaccine doses. Now let's proceed with the last segment of our news analysis, which is the international news. Mehul Choksi, who is the fugitive jeweler wanted in India in connection with the PNB fraud case, has been denied bail by the Dominican High Court. The great-granddaughter of Mahatma Gandhi, Ashish Lata Ram Govind, has been sentenced to 7 years in jail by a South African court in a 6 million rand cheating case. She was pronounced guilty of defaulting industrialist S.R. Maharaj, who was paid around Rs 3.3 crore to her to clear the customs and import duties of a consignment from India that never arrived. He had been promised a cut in the profits for extending the financial help. That's all we have for this week. The links of all these news updates are made available in the description section for your kind consideration. Thank you for being with us.